guys, it's Becky. I have a homeschooling video for you guys today, and I have shared things similar to this in the past, but I really just wanted to talk to you again about homeschool co-ops because I have a love-hate relationship with a homeschool co-op, and I get a lot of questions from you guys. I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys over the years about why we do one, why we weren't doing one, why we went back, should you do one, what are they, how do they work? So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys kind of why we are quitting our homeschool co-op again, at least temporarily, and also some tips and advice for you guys of if you don't have a homeschool co-op and you really want one, but you don't really know how to pick one. I've got some tips for things to think about, things to look for in a co-op, and questions to ask to really pick the one that is right for you and right for your kids. If you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by today. I hope you will enjoy this video. If you like homeschooling videos, give this a thumbs up. And if you are returning to me and already subscribed to me, thank you so much for stopping back in. I'm glad to see you guys. And as always, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. So if you want to hear why we are ditching our homeschool co-op again and my tips and advice for how to choose one, then stay tuned. We've done the same co-op several times. Back when the girls were little, my youngest was 3, my oldest was 9. We did it for 1 year. We had a bad experience. We quit. And I thought, well, I'll just find another co-op. It's fine. We'll just go somewhere else. And really was not able to find anywhere else that really fit into what we were looking for. So we set out of co-op for a few years after quitting that first year, and then decided to go back to that same co-op that we had quit the first time. So we had to get put on the waiting list again, and we waited a few years, and then we went back. It was 3rd grade for my youngest and 9th grade for my oldest. And then we also had this current school year, so 4th grade and 10th grade. So 2 years in a row with the same co-op. And our co-op year this year got cut short just because of everything that's going on in the world right now. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, it's Aplacetonest Becky. If you don't already know, you should follow me over there. I had an Instagram story I did that kind of, I got on there and ranted because I was so furious about how something was being handled by leadership. And that really made me mad. That was really like the straw that broke the camel's back, where I was just like, I put up with a lot of other stuff I didn't think was fair. But you know, life's not fair. So I'm like, whatever, we'll just keep rolling with it because the girls really liked it. Well, my youngest especially. My oldest was getting kind of, she could take it or leave it. But my youngest really, really, really loves it. She still really loves it. And I do feel really sad about this. And it's still really raw for me because I feel bad about stopping co-op. I really do, for their sake. But I felt like it was the right decision because I felt like some of the ways that leadership was handling issues were not being done the right way. And when I mentioned that to leadership, I was told verbatim, if you don't trust leadership and their decisions, then maybe your kids shouldn't come back. That's exactly what I was told. And I don't trust leadership's decisions. I mean, if it's something small, sure, whatever. But I am their mother. Just because somebody's a leader, again, air quotes, doesn't mean that I have to give up my will and my desires for my children because somebody else is in leadership. That is your job as a parent. If you see somebody doing something that you don't think is right for you or your kids, then you're supposed to say something. And when I said something, it was told, if I don't like the way leadership is doing things, then just don't come back. So I'm like, okay, I won't come back. And it worked out because they ended up having to cancel anyway because of quarantine and all that stuff. But then I was stuck at a crossroads of what do I do about next school year? Because you have to like pay pre-registration fees now for something that's not even going to happen until August or September. If you don't pay your pre-registration fee, then they're going to take your name off the list and they're going to go on the wait list and start picking people and filling spots, and you'll lose your place. So I had gone ahead and paid the pre-registration fee back in February, not even knowing what classes are going to be offered in the fall, not even knowing if we're for sure going back in the fall, just so I would save our spot. Even if we went back in the fall, even if this whole sickness was over and life was perfect and we were going to go back in the fall like normal, I would have to skin my ignorance to go back in the fall anyway, because after being talked to and chastised like a child and told that if we don't like the way they handle things, we shouldn't come back, I didn't want to go back for that reason alone, just because I'm like, you know what, if you want to treat people that way, we're not coming back. But I was going to, because I felt like my youngest daughter really wanted to, and my oldest daughter liked certain parts of it too. But then the main reason why we're just not going back is, at least right now, it's too uncertain right now what's going to happen in the fall to be making plans. You know, to pay registration, to pay class fees and sign up for classes, and you know, whatever they do at the co-op sometimes affects the curriculum here at home, because if they're doing something there, we don't have to do it here. Like, and I'm trying to plan our curriculum for fall. I can't really plan that if I don't know where we're going to be, if we're going to be doing co-op or not. And it's too indecisive. Too many decisions have to be made right now for fall, but I don't know what fall is going to look like if this situation comes back. And I can't say what it is because then YouTube will demonetize me, but you know what I'm talking about. If this situation that's going on right now comes back in the fall and I decide to not take my kids, they still expect me to pay the tuition every month, whether we are there or not. And I just thought that's just too uncertain. There's just too many things up in the air. Leadership handled things, I think, the wrong way from the beginning. If they handled things that way back then when things were better, who only knows how they would handle things if things are in the fall like they are right now. So the 2020-2021 school year, we are not going back to co-op. If at some point I decide that we want to go back and I feel like it's safe to go back and I want to give it another try, even though still I wouldn't want to go back to the same co-op, but we probably would. Just because it's, you know, the girls are used to it and everything. We would have to get back on the waiting list and wait our turn. I feel like this is all over the place, but this is kind of what my brain is like right now. So all that being said, co-ops are not necessary. You do not have to have a co-op to have a well-socialized, well-educated child. Do they add value to your homeschool? Can they add value to your homeschool life? Yes. But you can have a very well-adjusted, very well-educated child that does not ever have a co-op. And there's other ways to get socialization. There's other ways to add extracurricular activities besides a co-op. I do have a few tips for things to look for and to do if you decide you want to try a co-op and see if it's a good fit for you and your kids. And so I'm going to share this with you guys now. So the first thing is, do you want a religious co-op or a non-religious co-op? Or do you care one way or the other? If you want just a strictly religious co-op, then definitely that's going to narrow down your choices somewhat. I actually did want a Christian-based co-op because we are Christians, and I felt like I wanted my kids and myself to be around people who were like-minded as far as our faith goes. Obviously, we're not going to agree with everybody, clearly. But I still felt like if there was a Christian foundation to the co-op, it would be a better fit for us. And also with classes like, you know, they do have Bible classes or they have science classes where instead of teaching evolution, they're going to teach a biblical approach to science, which is what we do here at home and what we believe in. So that's why I chose a Christian co-op. So obviously Christians aren't perfect and a Christian co-op is not perfect. But you do need to decide, does that matter to you? Are you only wanting a Christian co-op or are you okay with either or? Also, a really, really big part of your choice should be the parent involvement. Most co-op groups have some level of parent involvement, whether it's low, medium, or high. You have to decide what you're willing to do to help out and the time that you have to devote to helping out. Some co-ops will have it set up where the parents will help every single week. They'll have it set up where you just have a couple months where you have to help or things you can do from home. They have it all structured different ways. So you would have to find out and ask what amount of parent involvement is required and, you know, how often do I have to do that? You know, do you have a job the entire school year? Do you have a job just for a semester? And really figure out and think and be honest with yourself about what you have time to do and what you are willing to do as far as parent involvement. Also, cost is a big factor. You're the only one who knows your financial situation and what you're able to afford on a monthly basis. And there's the cost of classes. A lot of times there are supply fees, field trip fees, party fees, book fees. You really have to ask all those questions of, you know, every single month, what are you going to be paying for your children to go to this co-op? And is that worth your investment? Also, curriculum might be a factor. There are some co-ops out there that want to teach like an entire subject, a thoroughly, very rigorous course where you're having to buy textbooks and they're giving them all kinds of outside work. And it's enough work that you're able to count it for a credit or a class. And then there are other co-ops that are kind of like mostly supplementary things or somewhere in between. So there's really all different types of co-ops as far as the curriculum that is taught and how extensive it is. And you have to decide, do you want a co-op that is going to teach science when you're already teaching science at home? Or do you want a co-op that's going to teach chemistry to your oldest and be challenging enough that you can count that for a high school credit? You know, you really have to decide Do you want them following a certain curriculum at co-op that may conflict with what you're doing at home? Or do you want them doing a curriculum at the co-op that keeps you from having to teach this at home? You know, you really have to find out what is taught, what curriculum is used, and how much outside work is expected of them from that class at home. That's really going to be important for you to help you make a decision. So make a list. Make a list of what you want from a co-op and why you think your family might benefit from a co-op. And then just start working down each co-op in your area, asking those questions of leadership or other people that you know that are in that co-op. You know, don't be afraid to ask questions and find out as much information as you can, because I'm sure any co-op leadership would rather you ask questions in the beginning than to sign up and get involved and then decide you don't like it and quit. But realize that even if you have all the information, even if everything looks good on paper, sometimes co-ops or a certain co-op doesn't work for you or for your kids. Co-ops are not one size fits all. There are so many reasons why a co-op might work for some families and not for others. And it's okay if it doesn't work for you. There are so many other places and ways that kids can be active and have friends and meet people and get social skills, from lessons and activities and church groups and library events. There's tons of things in everybody's city that you can find for your kids that will help them to have social time and have friends and learn socialization skills. But it doesn't have to be in the homeschool co-op setting. So that is kind of the situation right now with why we have decided not to go back to co-op in the fall. It is going to be a little bit of a challenge because I used that 3 hours a week to work on YouTube videos. So that's 12 hours a month that I'm having to try to figure out how to do that work at home. It has been a challenge to try to figure this out. This is a new way of doing things for me, at least for a while. For the last 2 years, I've had that time every week. So I'm trying to figure it out. I'm still playing around with some ideas about having my husband help with school one day a week again like he used to. That's definitely an option, even though he doesn't know that yet. But I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm kind of processing it as I go along. But I want to let you guys know that if you have had a homeschool co-op and you had a bad experience, you're not the only one. But if you are looking for a co-op and you kind of want advice from somebody who has done it and from somebody who hasn't done it and then has and then hasn't, these are kind of things that I think you should look for. But even with all this information, it doesn't mean that it's still going to be a good fit. Sometimes you do the best research you can, but at the end of the day, things still don't work out, and that's okay. So just kind of want to open up the communication with you guys in the comments section. If you homeschool, do you belong to a homeschool co-op? Have you had a bad experience with one? Do you have a good experience with one? And what are your tips and advice for other people who are thinking of joining one or having trouble with one? I think it helps just to talk to each other and kind of learn from each other. I think it's really, really useful to me, and I know it's going to be useful to other homeschoolers as well. So definitely feel free to leave those comments for me in the comments section. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and check out my homeschooling playlist. It is linked for you in the description box as well. Every single homeschooling video I've ever made is in that playlist, so definitely check it out if you're interested, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.